May all who are ill know that you, O God, are with them, comforting them and reinforcing their will to get well. May their affliction soon be ended. May they return in health to family, friends, and their congregation. May it be your will, eternal one, our God and God of our ancestors, speedily to grant perfect healing, both of body and mind, to all those whom we know who are sick. We praise you, O God, the source of healing. Vihi ratzon milfanecha, Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu, shetishlach mahira, refuah shalem, refuat hanefesh, urefuat haguf, lechol hacholim betoch kehilat shalanu. Baruch atah Adonai, rofei hacholim. Now, can we resume, please, the streamed service and turn to page 372, page 372. Today, the Shabbat following on Yom Ha'atzmaut, we turn our thoughts to Eretz Yisrael, cradle of our faith, a land that is made holy by memories of prophets, poets, mystics, and sages. In all the ages of our history, in all the places of our wanderings, we have remembered it both with love and longing, saying with the psalmist, quoting Psalm 137, we all read together, "If I forget you, O Jerusalem, let my right hand wither. Let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. If I do not remember you, if I do not set Jerusalem above my highest joy." So now we are privileged to celebrate the 74th anniversary of Israel's rebirth as a nation-state. We recall with gratitude the vision of its pioneers, the devotion of its builders, the courage of its defenders. For in the desolate spaces of a never-forgotten homeland, they have built villages, towns, they planted gardens and established industries. We give thanks that out of the ashes of the death camps, there has arisen a symbol of renewal, a haven where broken lives have been made whole again, an affirmation of our people's fidelity to its past and confidence in its future. Now, could I ask Stuart and Ruth, are you able to read the following texts from Isaiah and Psalm 98? If you could unmute, thank you.
Thank you.
Sing a new song to the Eternal One, who has done wonderful things.
You have remembered your love and faithfulness to the house of Israel.
You have comforted your people and shown compassion for your afflicted ones.
You have comforted Zion, brought comfort to her ruins.
You have made her wilderness like Eden, a desert like a divine garden.
Joy and gladness shall be found there, thanksgiving and jubilant song.
The wilderness and the dry land shall be glad.
The desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose.
Those whom God has ransomed shall return and come to Zion with singing, with everlasting joy upon their heads.
They shall obtain joy and gladness. Sorrow and sighing shall flee away.
Thank you. Beautifully read. Those whom God has ransomed shall return. So as we all know, immediately after Israel's independence, it became a place of sanctuary for refugees and survivors from the Holocaust. And now, 74 years later, it is still making its name for itself in the world as a place of refugee, where refugees from Ukraine, some of them Jewish, most of them not Jewish, can find a short-term sanctuary and safety from the nightmare and the horrors from which they've escaped. We say together the Shehechianu, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Amen.
Could I ask June Bradbury, please, to unmute? Can you read the Declaration of Independence?
The state of Israel will be open to the immigration of Jews from all countries of their dispersion. Will promote the development of the country for the benefit of all its inhabitants. Will be based on the principles of liberty, justice, and peace, as conceived by the prophets of Israel. Will uphold the full social and political equality of all its citizens, without distinction of religion, race, or sex. Will guarantee freedom of religion, conscience, education, and culture. Will safeguard the holy places of all religions and will loyally uphold the principles of the United Nations Charter.
Thank you, June. Kol beleva panima nefesh Yehudi homiya ufate mizra kadima ayin Zion Sophia Od lo avda tikvatenu התקווה שנות 2000 להיות עם חופשי בארצנו בארץ ציון וירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו בארץ ציון וירושלים. Next page. We remember that the state of Israel, born in pain, has continued to live with peril, but others too have laid claim to the land. Thus there have followed war, terror, displacement, and bereavement. We recall this tragic history with sorrow and with sympathy for all who have suffered, but we still trust that the high ideals of liberty, justice, and peace that were proclaimed by Israel's founders will yet be achieved. We all read together. We look forward to a time when all peoples of the region will live together in mutual respect and harmony, and we pledge ourselves to work towards that goal. We affirm the faith of David Ben-Gurion. The state of Israel will prove itself not by its material wealth, not by its military might or its technical achievement, but by its moral character and its human values. Now, I would like to turn over now to Mel and Sylvie Millenbach, both of whom have lived for a period in their lives in Eretz Israel. Could you continue with the following texts from Psalms and Prophets?
That's it.
Mel and Sylvie. Not by might.
Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, says the Eternal One, ruler of the hosts of heaven.
Pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
May those who love you prosper. Let there be peace within your walls, safety within your borders.
For the sake of my people, my friends, I say, let there be peace within you.
And for the sake of the house of the Eternal One, our God, I will seek your good.
Violence shall no more be heard in your land, devastation or destruction within your borders.
But you shall call your walls salvation and your gates praise.
Eternal God, guardian of Israel and redeemer of humanity, grant that Zion may be a safe shelter for its children and a light to the nations. Give its people strength to build a land in which the vision of justice and mercy shall be fulfilled for the good of all its inhabitants. Then shall the brightness of truth, compassion, and peace shine forth from Zion, as it is written.
Out of Zion shall go forth God's teaching, and the word of Eternal One from Jerusalem.
Sylvie, can you sing Ki Mitzion for us?
Oh dear. Not too good with this. Ki Mitzion Tatsei Torah
Devar
Adonai
Mir
Misrushalayim. Not too core the tune of that.
Thank you very much. No, thank you. Okay, can we stop the Siddur screen share now, please? Please, I'd like to excuse, I'm going to repeat a few words that I said at the Lunch and Learn last Thursday at 12:30. And so some of the people who attended that are with us this evening. So I'll repeat for the sake of those who were not with us on the Lunch and Learn on Thursday, making the remarks that 74 years of Israel's, the state of Israel's life is just a little longer than Fiona's life and my life. So we've lived always with the existence of this state. But as we've changed in our lifetime, so the state of Israel has been transformed. At the beginning, it was very weak, it was extremely poor, life was a desperate struggle. Over the 74 years, it has certainly grown in strength, security, and population growth has been phenomenal. Economic growth has been phenomenal. Sadly, peace with its neighbors, the Palestinians, has eluded, but they have made peace with many Arab neighbors, which seem to be secure peace agreements, which is a great achievement. I have a great interest in what goes on in Israel. I have family there, I visit it frequently. So I often have to go to Jewish sources or Israeli sources for news, because sadly, on television, on the radio, in British newspapers, there's always news about terrible, bad, violent things that go on in Israel, particularly in the last few weeks of Ramadan. But when something good is achieved, or worthy of achievement, that is never reported. I'm very much aware. So I want to share with you something that happened about 6 weeks ago, right at the beginning of the war between Russia and Ukraine. A little close to the capital, Kiev, close to Lvov and the Polish border, Israel sent huge planes carrying a mobile hospital, and they built this hospital, tents, in the grounds of a primary school in a small village. Now I'm going to show you this short film which shows you this hospital. I'd like to ask you, perhaps afterwards, who knew about this, apart from one or two people. This was not a military hospital. It was not to treat the wounded. It was a basic local hospital to treat local Ukrainians for their ordinary illnesses, diagnosis, treatment, and also it was a maternity hospital for women in pregnancy and about to give birth, as you will see. Why did Israel do this right at the beginning of the war? Well, they have the skills, the capability. They had the planes to fly out a hospital. They had the people to staff it, the doctors and nurses. But what's especially significant is the doctors and the nurses were nearly all Russian speakers, so they could communicate directly with the local people. They didn't just provide a medical service at a time when the Ukrainian hospitals were either closed or short of medicines or treating the war wounded from the military. They provided lots of medicines and pharmaceuticals to Ukrainians who were desperate for their regular medicines to keep them alive. Now, I think this was a temporary measure. I don't think the hospital is there at the moment, but I would like to share the video made of it. And as you'll see, the local Ukrainians who got the news and streamed for this free, without charge medical service, they were extremely grateful. So I mentioned
My name is Erev, and I am the head of Shiba Global, also known as the Shiba International Division. And now I am the head of the Israeli field hospital that deployed to Ukraine. We are right now at the city of Mostitska, which is, I would say, 60 kilometers from Lviv toward the border with Poland. The delegation is about 80 people. Out of them, 64 are medical personnel. most of them, the majority is from Sheba Medical Center, but also from other hospitals, from the HMOs, and also from Magen David Adom. So it's really the best of the best of the Israeli healthcare society. So we've been here in the last 48 hours, and we saw mainly older people with cardiology issues, a lot of kids who are suffering from neglection. We see a lot of pregnant women that need to be take care of their pregnancy. As soon as we open the gate, it's a non-stop. People are coming and coming and coming, and I assume that as days will pass, the rumor will spread that there is an Israeli facility here on the land of Mostitska, and it's Western medicine, and it's free. People are going to come as they did from early morning, come and come and come. Part of the DNA of Sheba Medical Center is to continue the momentum of showing the best of what Israel can show, which is the humanitarian efforts around the globe. I just want the Jewish people in the States to know that we feel here the spirit of the Jewish nation. We got a lot of support. Thank you very much to all those communities around the world that are really taking care and really caring about what we are doing here. We here as a representative of the State of Israel, but we also here as a representative of the great Jewish nation.
Thank you, Judy. It worked. You got a video MP4, and I hope everybody saw that and appreciated that. It started very suddenly. I had a few more remarks prepared for you.
Sorry. But
You don't have to apologize for anything. It was beautiful. It worked perfectly. I was just saying, behind this wonderful story is, of course, the Israelis have the capability. You saw the big transport planes which landed in Poland and the big lorries that they rented to take all the stuff over the border into Ukraine. So they have the capability. As I may have said before I was cut off, the doctors and the nurses were mostly Russian speakers. Within the current population, there's a huge proportion of current Israelis who are native Russian speakers. Why are they doing this? Obviously, it's humanitarian effort for people in dire need. And this is not the first time they've done it. When there was a terrible civil war raging in Syria, they set up mobile hospitals just by the Syria-Israel border, not for Syrian army troops, but for local people who were simply deprived of all medical care because of the civil war. And those in serious need were taken across the border and were treated in a hospital in Safat before being sent back home to their homes in Syria. And lastly, obviously, they have the capability, they have the language skills, but this is training as well, because Israel as a country, its whole population is under constant threat, military threat. So this is something that the army does need to do to be able to set up very, very quickly mobile hospitals where they're needed at a time. So I'm going to ask everybody to unmute. It's only 7:15, so any comments? I would like to know do people know about this military hospital, or was it news to them? Could everybody be unmuted?
I knew about it. Yes, I did know about it.
I didn't get it from mainstream media. I got it from the internet.
I read about it.
There was an article, and as Tony said, on Facebook or one of the social
Yes.
of the aeroplane with all the doctors and nurses, but there was no mention of there being a hospital being set up. So that was total news to me.
yeah, and us. Yeah.
Yet again, Israel has failed in publicly getting knowledge out. They do so many good things, and Israel has just the worst record for boasting and getting it out.
That's the problem.
I must interrupt, Simon, what you said there. I wouldn't use the word failure in public relations. It is true that they don't get the good news out. I don't think that's Israel's failure. They do try. I've had personal knowledge of the PR people in our embassy in London. It's not that they don't try. It's just that it's simply not newsworthy to the media outlets in this country. It's not regarded as worthy news. And it doesn't conform. Maybe this is...
I totally accept what you're saying, David. You are right, but now it is so easy to put stuff out there on social media. You don't need a PR department. That video that you've just seen can easily be spread around the world in minutes, literally minutes. And
in response to that, of course, social media is wonderful, and I hope lots of people are watching this service and watching this film on social media. I have no way of knowing that. But people who watch social media, they watch what they choose and they want to see, and so often they want to watch what conforms to their existing prejudices, and they don't open their eyes to what might change their minds. By the way, welcome Jackie and John Morrison and Sharon. Any other comments?
He's making a cup of tea.
You've got to also remember they might not want to attract too much attention, because it could attract the wrong attention.
Yeah.
Well, I think as far as Ukraine is concerned, the people who lived around this hospital, they heard about it, and news travels very far. When somebody was running out of their heart drugs and they got Israeli drugs from Teva, cost-free, that news will have traveled around the Ukrainian population. No doubt about it. Any other comments?
Wonderful. It's lovely to watch. It really was.
I didn't know about it until you just showed that video. I obviously missed that Facebook post. But it's there is so much good stuff out there, not just Israel, and so many good things are happening. It's just a very sad fact that what sells the mainstream news is catastrophe, is all the disaster stuff. That's why it's up to people to stop paying any attention to it. This is why I'm really passionate. It's not about turning your eyes away. Yeah, you do the things that you need to do. You know what's going on. But actually, if you pay more attention to trying to focus on all the good things, a lot more good energy would go out there, and we'd have a much nicer world. So yeah, it's really nice to see it.
I echo you 100%. This is obviously why I and probably Fiona, I'm very keen on taking people to see contemporary Israel with their own eyes and see what it is directly. And I think that's very, very important. And that includes you, because people have been saying, what about another trip to the Holy Land this December? Because the last 2 years we haven't been able to do it. So I'm looking at a lot of people who I think would really enjoy it if they could afford it and come along for a week in December. Okay, thank you very much for that very brief response. Now it's between Pesach and Shavuot, so I'm going to challenge Judy to get as quickly as possible to page 578, counting the pages to count the Omer. Page 578, screen share. Top of the page. Usafartem lachem mimachorat haShabbat. You shall count 7 weeks from the day after the Sabbath of Pesach, when an omer of grain is to be brought as an offering, so that the day after the 7th week is completed will make it 50 days, the festival of Shavuot. In observance of this tradition, we still count off the days of the early harvest season from Pesach until Shavuot. We symbolically walk once more the road from Egypt to Sinai, from liberty to law, from freedom to responsibility. We say together, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sefirat ha'omer. This Shabbat marks 3 weeks exactly of the Omer. Now, can we move back to?
So we're nearly halfway to Shavuot.
Yes, it comes up very quickly.
It does, doesn't it?
Shavuot, by the way, for everybody, coincides with Platinum Jubilee weekend. Page 520. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתקן ולעליות בראשית, אשר שם חלקנו יחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא עושה שמיים ויוסף הארץ, ומשם יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, באמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו. ידעת היום בשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. Sharon, could I ask you to read Trusting in You, please?
Thank you. Trusting in you, eternal God, we hope soon to behold the glory of your might, when false gods will vanish from our hearts and idolatry cease forever. Help us to perfect the world by bringing it under your unchallenged rule, when all will invoke your name, relinquish evil, and turn to you alone. May all who dwell on earth come to know that to you every knee must bend and every tongue swear loyalty. Before you let them humble themselves, and to your glorious name let them give honour. Let all submit to your sovereign rule. May that time come soon and last forever. For ultimate sovereignty is yours, and to all eternity you will reign in glory. As it is written, the Eternal One shall reign forever. And it has been said, the Eternal God shall rule over all the earth. On that day, the Eternal God shall be one, and known to be one.
ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Prayer number 4. It is hard to feel serene when our world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our lives have gone. In particular, in the coming week, we remember the names of Andy Sassoon's husband, David Sassoon, and Denise Kay and her sister Suzanne's father, Lavan Ben Meir, whose yahrzeits fall in the coming week. Yet, in the emptiness their passing leaves behind, we are not alone. We still have the companionship of the living, and even our loved ones who have died live on in our hearts, for what they were is part of what we have become. We honor them best when we live as they would wish, responsibly, happily, even in the shadow of our loss. And so we all draw closer to the source of life, in whom every life finds its meaning, purpose, and hope. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא יברך ילותי וימליך מלכותי, וחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשא בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל בני אדם ואמרו Amen. Over to you, Stuart.
Thank you, David. Shabbat shalom, everyone. And thanks, David, for leading the service. To Judy for brilliantly moving the pages and putting on the film. Fantastic technology, Judy, and for Nick for streaming, and to everyone who took part. Tomorrow morning's service begins at 10:45, and it's a family service led by the families and the students of the religion school, and with Rabbi Richard as well, who will be coughing a little bit because he's still getting through COVID. ELELS continues Monday to Thursday, 11 a.m. very sensibly. And this Tuesday at 8 p.m. is the first of a series of talks on end-of-life matters, and the first one deals with organ donation. This Friday from 11 a.m. till noon, Viv Martin will be leading another of our walks, and this time it's around Valentine's Park. Details on the update to register and where to meet. And it will be only a stroll. It won't be a very fast walk, so everyone's able to cope with it. And there's lots of seats in Valentine's Park, and I'm told lots of tea as well.
It looks beautiful at the moment. It's a beautiful park.
And it'll be a lovely day next Friday, as it will be from every day on at the moment. Lots of other events on the update, including how to register for May services, wishing long life to all the moon. Shabbat shalom, everyone, and hello, John. Thanks, David. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart, and thanks for Nick and Judy for getting that MP4 going. I'd just like to add, not this coming Monday, but Monday week, the 16th of May, at the big mosque in central Ilford, Ilford Islamic Centre, there'll be a three-faiths meeting about the three-faiths attitude for helping refugees. It couldn't be more pertinent. And the Christian speaker will be the Bishop of Barking, a new Bishop of Barking, a lady bishop. So you'll hopefully put that in your diary. I think it's 6 p.m. on Monday week, the 16th of May.
Is Sarah Nathan talking at it?
Oh, yes, of course. Thank you, Fiona. The Jewish speaker will be somebody we've already met called Sarah Nathan, who runs a charity housing or giving homes, temporary homes, for refugees. She did this well before Ukraine, and she's helped a lot of refugees from Syria, Iran, and Iraq find homes in people's houses, particularly in London.
When you think of that compared to putting them in bed and breakfast where they don't know anyone and the culture and everything, and to be welcomed into people's homes as a guest makes all the difference to making people feel
will it be on Zoom as well?
No, you have to come. You have to come. You think I should try and get it on Zoom?
Yes,
I'll ask the mosque. I will encourage people to come in person.
Where is it?
It's at the Albert Road Mosque in central Ilford.
I know it, yeah, Albert Road.
Yes, Albert Road. Should be a very interesting and packed meeting.
You're nearer to God than Albert Road than you're anywhere else in England.
Sorry?
You're nearer to God than Albert Road than you are anywhere else. You've got a mosque, a Sikh Gurdwara, a Buddhist temple,
and a church.
And a church.
Sadly, no synagogue.
Well, maybe that's where ELELS should look next then.
Yeah.
Full set for a full set.
And of course, they were all out on the pavements last Monday night for Eid. But anyhow, let's get to page 652, please.
No, Lisa.
Screen share 652.
She got the link.
Please join in if you can. That means you, Fiona.
Yeah, can I just ask if Elisa's got the link to the ELELS? She hasn't. Oh.
Aviharim zol kayayin v'yeyachoranim נישא ברוח הבאים עם כל פעמים, ובתרדמות אילן באבן, שבוע בחלומה. העיר אשר בדד יושבת, ובליבה הומה. ירושלים של זהב, ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא להו שירי אני כינור. חזרנו אל בורות המים, לשוק ולכיכר, שופר קורא בהבית בעיר העתיקה. ובמראות אשר בסלע, אלפי שמשות זורחות. נשוב נרד על ים המלך בדרך יריחו. ירושלים של זהב, ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא להו שירי אני כינור. אך בבואי היום לשיר לך, ולך לקשור כתרים. קטונתי בצרי בנייך, ומאהרון המשוררים. כי שמך צורב את השפתיים, כנשיקת שרף. אם אשכחך ירושלים, אשר כולה זהב. ירושלים של זהב, ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא להו שירי אני כינור. ירושלים של זהב, ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא להו שירי אני כינור, כינור. Can we now move to our Kiddush, page 566? 566. Page before, sorry, wrong page, Judy, page 564.
Can you just wait a minute? She's joining us on Zoom.
Okay, just say, Fiona's trying to get somebody to join us from the Falkland Islands.
Hello, are you there? Yeah. Okay, we're with ELELS. Ready?
So Elisa has just joined us from Port Stanley in the Falkland Islands. Next Wednesday, please God, she will land at Bryce Norton early in the morning after 4 months. וירא ויבוקר יום השישי, ויחול השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחול אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ומצוונו, בשבת קודשו באהבה ורצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי באנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני Makadesh Shabbat. Amen. L'chaim. And Fiona's been baking today. She's made the most beautiful halots in the world, which you're about to see. Enough for 15 people here. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Where's the salt? Oh, here it is.
Can everybody unmute, perhaps?